guys, so we're here at vlog style yet again, filming the intro clip for this Homebrew Wednesday, so happy Homebrew Wednesday. So right here I have a glass of my Imperial Stout. Now why do I have a glass of my Imperial Stout and not my two new barley wines, my two new brown ales, is because I just bottled the rest of my Imperial Stout, which I had been hoping to do for quite a while. So I'll explain the whole mishkabobble of stuff here. So on this side of the bowl of caps, which I obviously sanitized too many, is the coffee version. So what I did was my friend Merlin, who's one of my co-officers of the Brewminaries, he took some unroasted green coffee and he aged it in an emptied whiskey barrel, which he let dry out a little bit, and then he home roasted them and sold it at $10 a pound to fellow homebrewers, mostly Brewminaries. So what I did was I cold brewed 2 cups of beans, which that's my usual ratio in this size mason jar, 2 cups of coffee to 6 cups of water. And then as I bottled, and per 12 ounce, I put just about 2 full teaspoons, and then I did a 750 to bring to Homebrew Club meeting and a 22 to have. Then over here I have two 22s and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more 12 ounces to add to the other 3 that I already have, 8 that I already filled a while ago. So overall I got a good amount of beer to do side by sides, and of course I've aged at least 1 or 2 bottles of each. So I was hoping to get a touch more, but I didn't really know how much I already filled with bottles and shared and drank off tap. So to get this many bottles, I'm pretty happy. So cheers. I don't know why I haven't taken a sip yet. Oh, so good. So over here, I have the keg that I just emptied with the picnic tap that I was serving it off of, waiting to be cleaned. And then in the Keezer, which I probably showed you earlier or at some point in this video, and now I have that empty spot right there where you see the ring. It really needs to be cleaned in there. Is where I cleaned. Not sanitized yet, but I cleaned this keg, which had my rye IPA in it, which kicked recently. So I'm going to sanitize that, and then my Doppelbock is sitting in the low 40s in my fermentation chamber, as you can see, at 5.5 Celsius. You can do the calculations yourself, or maybe I'll put up the exact number in the video, but it's sitting there waiting to be kegged tonight. So overall, I'm going to affectionately call this Homebrew Wednesday Juggling of the Kegs, because between splitting and kegging my brown ale and then having to bottle the rest of the Imperial Stout and then having to keg a third beer, the Doppelbock, it's a lot of juggling around, and just a lot of juggling the beers in my apartment in general, around the Holy Inn Brewing Company headquarters. So from here, I'll shoot you off to all the stuff I mentioned, dealing with the brown ale. I filmed a little bit of that, and I also filmed a little bit about organizing the beer in my apartment, and then any other clips that I find, I'll include. But otherwise, grab my beer, and wish you guys a happy Homebrew Wednesday. Hope you guys are enjoying all the Paul Wixty tribute stuff, and again, it was an honor to put together the collaboration tribute video, and because Paul meant a lot to me, and of course to you guys, and just the responses I got really made me even appreciate Paul and all that he meant to our community even more, especially when his family members commented on the link that I posted on his wall and said how much they appreciated it. So all overall, awesome. And finally, before I cheers you out, I want to say cheers to all my new subscribers. Thanks to this community, because I decided to be the one to make the collaboration tribute video after enjoying putting together the promo video a little over a year ago. I got about 40 new subscribers or more, maybe even close to 45 over the past 2 weeks. So cheers to all the guys who have and gals who have recently subscribed to my channel. And if you guys have anything you want to see from me after watching some of my videos, be sure to comment below, and I'll see ya in my next video. Cheers. So I have right here a sample of my Satiator Doppelbock, and in the description of this video and or in the blog post for this video, I'll put a description of exactly what my lager fermentation schedule is for this beer. It's a little different than the Pilsner, but overall, as a synopsis, it went basically, all I did differently was I started ramping up the temperature for the diacetyl rest, which it would be for me, for lagers in the low 60s. I decided to start ramping up a day or two earlier. So instead of we're starting to ramp it up on the morning of day 10, like I did for the pills, I started ramping up on day 8. Just because it's a bigger beer and I really wanted it to attenuate. So, in the aroma, I could definitely smell like the yeast-derived sulfur, like the lagery sulfur, which will kind of usually settle out as you cold crash and as a lagers. But underneath that, there's definitely a lot of fruitiness and caramel and toffee like you usually get in the Doppelbock. So let's try it. Cheers. So those yeast flavors aren't really in the taste as much. It's definitely nice and drinkable. You can't really taste the 7.2% ABV. It's really nice, not too sweet tasting. All the flavors I would want for the style. It's a little not as overtly Munich-y as some other Doppelbocks are, especially like Paulaner Salvatore and a few homebrewed examples I've actually tried recently. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it.
I messed it up before, but don't you know that I've changed? I'm walking every minute just thinking what to say to you. If only you could see that I was feeling the same. Your way, my way, your way. She's got soul, but it's buried away. I'm gonna try to make you happy now. I would do most anything. You're my little baby and you make me feel sane. After all the time that passed, I wanna try to make a future.
Hey guys, so as you just saw, I just transferred my brown ale into the 2.5 gallon kegs. One thing that I do want to show you though is that, as you see here, you usually lose about between a third of a gallon and half a gallon of beer at the bottom, unless you catch it and tip it at just the right time to get that last little bit. So here you see I lost a little more than about a half a gallon, which I usually don't even lose that much. So there's a little bit more of the coffee one, which I kept the stickers on of these new kegs, because we got them from my homebrew club at a cheap price. So I got a little more of the coffee version than the regular version, but it's still enough to sample on and share with people. And in the end, I only used 6 ounces of cold brew. What I did was I thought about my only other beer that I've used cold brew with, and I used 10 ounces for 5 gallons. So I said, okay, maybe for 2.5 gallons, I'll try 6. I'll try 6 ounces, and then I'll take a little taste. And I did that, and before I re-sanitize the lid, and it was more than enough. So it should acclimate to the beer over time as it carbonates, and then it'll be pretty present in the first week or two, and hopefully it'll kind of mellow out as I drink on it. So for the next clip for this week's Homebrew Wednesday, of course, as you see, vlog style, I decided to start organizing my hallway a little bit to consolidate all the boxes, because the more boxes or cases of homebrew and craft beer that I added, the more narrow my hallway got, and the harder it was to wheel my granny cart full of groceries down the hallway, or anything down the hallway. So what I did was, right over here at the entrance to my apartment, which as you see, it's in the works, I still have a bunch of stuff that I have to find room for, is I put up these shelves that I bought at Bed Bath & Beyond, to kind of, put my sour beer stuff on top, because it's the lightest, and then put all my cases, or most of my cases of homebrew and craft beer on here, just to have them up and out of the way, instead of, like I said, making the hallway more cluttered. Over here, as you see, I have some extra bottles and more beer, and then over here is where I have some more bottles and the last of the beer. So one problem that I should probably mention, which a lot of you probably also experience. I'll move over here in the better light for a second. Which for you, probably most of you experience, is that you have so much beer on hand that you almost accumulate a graveyard. So as you saw over there, I have a Founder's Porter, a Weinstein Hefeweiss, and Sriracha Ace from Brooklyn Brewery, which was left over back like 6 months ago when I did a beer and cheese tasting. So last time I checked on the Sriracha Ace, the all hop character was gone. It wasn't tasting that great, so either I'll cook with it or just give it away to people. The Hefeweizen is still okay, but not great. And then the Porter, last time I tried it, which was about like 4 weeks ago or so, still tasting good. So I call that like my graveyard, where I got it over my head with the amount of beer that I had on hand, and I now have that stuff to deal with. But I'll take you into my kitchen for the last part of the graveyard. Now that we're discussing it, over here you see the keg that I had my rye IPA in. So I've had it on tap for like 3.5, 4 months. I think I looked at my notes since the beginning of August, and the way I have everything situated and the keezer now, which I'll pop open and show you, is that I have, in this keg is an Imperial Stout, which I'll be bottling to make room for the next beer, for the Doppelbock Lager. Then I have the IPA, and then I have the 2 brown ales, which hopefully I'll have included a clip of me splitting it up. So I really only have room, really, especially with the wider 2.5 gallon kegs. I really don't have room for 4 kegs in here, which is really what I hope to have, because I have 4 taps, 4 tap holes, I should say. So I needed to get out. I had to take the rye IPA out to get the 2.5 gallon kegs in. So now that I have to prepare a keg for the Doppelbock, I decided to just get rid of the last gallon or so of rye IPA, which you see as the head dying down in there. So if you look at the liquid line, which is right about here, it's about 5 liters. So a little over a gallon, maybe like a quarter of the batch, which I hate to dump, but like what I've been doing with kegs that just take forever to kick, is I put a lot of them in growlers or bottles, and then it ends up sitting around for a while, and I get to some of it, and I don't get to some of it. So in the end, what I'm probably gonna do is start brewing smaller batches and using my 2.5 gallon kegs more often, or start sending it, or I just have to start sending out more beer mail, or finding other ways to share the beer, so it doesn't go to waste. And I did learn a lot about brewing a rye IPA from this Millennium Falcon. So it is a bummer, but like I said, has been on tap for quite a while. So in the end of the day, I'm still learning after over a year of kegging that it might suit me better to brew more small batches more often. And I'm glad to have the 2.5 gallon kegs to help with that issue. So to end this long segment for the Homebrew Wednesday, just to give you an overview of what's going on in my apartment. If you guys have this graveyard issue where you brew more than or keep more beer on hand than you can actually have an opportunity to share, I guess you could put in the comments and give me some advice of how you deal with it, so that in the future I have less beer to dump or give away as to people who don't mind it as much.
We should be together. I want you in my life. We should be together. I want you in my life. We should be together.